Got the attention of many on Capitol Hill. Earlier tonight, I spoke with Republican Congressman Jim Jordan, a member of the House Judiciary Committee. So, Congressman Jordan, yesterday Speaker Ryan said that Jim Comey is a man of integrity as far as he knows. Is he wrong?
I don't think Jim Comey has much credibility, Anderson. You know, I thought he was wrong on July 5th when he went out and did his big press conference before the election. I thought he was wrong when he reopened the case in October, 10 days before the election. I thought he was wrong throughout that entire investigation. And I said so both times. When I said so in October, I took a lot of heat from some of my Republican colleagues, but I thought he screwed this thing up from the get-go, and I don't think he has a whole lot of credibility.
Just in terms of the rhetoric surrounding all this, the president has referred to his former FBI director as a slime ball, referred to the upper echelons of the FBI as a den of thieves and lowlives. Are you at all concerned that this can damage the public confidence in the institution of the FBI?
The FBI's confidence is damaged because of the actions of Jim Comey, Andrew McCabe, for goodness sake. I mean, think about it. Anderson, Jim Comey was fired. Deputy Director McCabe was fired for lying 4 times, twice under oath. Chief Counsel Jim Baker was demoted and reassigned. Deputy Counterintelligence Peter Strzok was demoted and reassigned. And Lisa Page, FBI counsel, was demoted and reassigned. These are some of the top people at the FBI.
Right, so I think they were demoted and reassigned by Robert Mueller himself.
After first being selected to be on the team, and we've seen the text messages which just don't show bias, they show animus towards the president that the American people elected. So these are the top people at the FBI. If anyone's destroyed the credibility at the top, it's those people. The rank and file agents, Americans have the highest confidence in those folks.
You don't think the president calling, these people lowlives, referring to the den of thieves, that shows animus?
How about the report that came out just last Friday on Andrew McCabe? Here's what he did. Right. You want to talk about scheming and crafting.
I'm just asking if you think the president is showing animus by calling, the upper echelons of the FBI den of thieves and lowlives. I mean, these are law enforcement officers.
I think he's pointing out the fact that these 5 people were up to things. They've all been demoted or reassigned or fired. I think that's pretty telling.
I want to play something that Comey said in his interview last night about the president.
I don't think he's medically unfit to be president. I think he's morally unfit to be president.
White lives matter! White lives matter!
A person who sees moral equivalence in Charlottesville, who talks about and treats women like they're pieces of meat, who lies constantly about matters big and small and insists the American people believe it, that person's not fit to be president of the United States on moral grounds.
Do you disagree with him there?
I do. I think the American people spoke loudly and clearly on Election Day, and they made Donald Trump the President of the United States. I think in 2017 we did some good things for this country, specifically the tax cuts.
Do you think the president lies a lot?
Like Neil Gorsuch on the Supreme Court, like reducing regulations, like saying the embassy should in fact go to Jerusalem. I think a lot of good things happened in 2017.
Do you think the president lies a lot?
Excuse me, Anderson?
Do you think the president lies a lot, like Jim Comey says?
I do not. I think Jim Comey has leaked information through a friend to the New York Times for the stated purpose of getting a special counsel. I think Jim Comey took over an investigation that never happened before. It had always been the Attorney General who would announce the findings, whether they were going to prosecute or not. But I think Jim Comey, as I said earlier, his credibility is gone because of how he handled the Clinton investigation and how they started the Trump investigation.
I mean, but come on. I mean, you got to admit this president has said things which are just demonstrably not true time and time again. I mean, the list is a very long one, almost on a daily basis.
I think Andrew McCabe has said things that aren't true, and the Inspector General did an investigation and was fired because of that.
Right. So you're very bold in calling out Andrew McCabe, not so bold on the President of the United States.
It wasn't me calling Andrew McCabe; it was his colleagues.
Okay.
I mean, it was
so you haven't heard the president lie. You haven't heard the president lie.
I've not heard the president has always been square with me. That's for darn sure.
What about the American people?
The American people elected him president of the United States.
Okay, but have you ever heard the president lie? That's what I'm asking you.
And I've not. And the American people feel like what the treatment he has received from the top people at the FBI.
I don't think you can talk about all of the American people, but I'm asking you just yourself, have you ever heard the president lie?
I've not.
Really? So when the Washington Post counts hundreds and hundreds of times, none of those are believable to you?
I've not seen what the Washington Post reported. You're asking, has the president communicated something that wasn't accurate to me? I've not.
Not to you. Has the president publicly said anything that is a lie?
Well, I mean, look, I don't know of it. Nothing comes to mind. But look, people who talk as much as you and I do, my guess is probably, Anderson, you may have said something at some point that wasn't 100% accurate.
If I have, I apologize for it, and I try to correct it as possible.
Fine.
Have you heard the president?
Have you heard
the president apologize and correct something?
I don't know that he said something wrong that he needs to apologize for. Nothing comes to mind right now. I'm saying that if I would do something like that, I would say, look, if I said something that's not accurate, I would deal with it. But I don't know that the president has.
Let me ask you, just in terms of what's going to happen next, obviously with Ryan leaving, are you interested in becoming Speaker?
Look, I said this last week. Right now, Paul Ryan's a Speaker. He said he's going to continue to be the Speaker for the remainder of this Congress. If and when there is a Speaker's race, I've had colleagues encourage me to look at that, and I'm open to looking at it. But the big focus, and I said this on the floor of the House last week, much more important than who the Speaker is next year is what Republicans do this year. And if we don't start doing what the American people sent us here to do, there ain't going to be a Speaker's race because we won't be in the majority. So let's get focused on what we're supposed to be doing, what they sent us here to do, what they told us to do when they gave us.
You're that concerned about you're that concerned about the midterms.
I'm concerned about the midterms, yes. And if we don't do what we are sent here to do, build the border security wall, deal with welfare reform in the way we need to, make the tax cuts permanent, the policies that we were elected to do. If we don't get focused on that, then we could have some problems. If we do get focused on that, I think we can win.
Congressman Jordan, appreciate your time. Thank you.
I had a very good meeting with the G7, and I left the meeting, and I'll be honest, we are being taken advantage of by virtually every one of those countries, very, very seriously. Now, the United States, because of bad management at the top, because of presidents that didn't care about trade or didn't understand it or whatever reason, for many years, with China being obviously the most successful at it, but the European Union is second, 151 billion we lost. They were represented at the meeting. And we're being taken advantage of on trade. Canada does have very big advantages over us in terms of trade deficits. We have a big trade deficit with Canada. I was reading where, it's actually a surplus. Not a surplus. It's either 17, but it could actually be 100. You know, they put out a document. I don't know if you saw it. They didn't want me to see it, but we found it. Perhaps they were trying to show the power they have. It's close to $100 billion a year loss with Canada. They don't take our farm products, many of them. They charge what was 270%, but somebody told me the other day that a few months ago they raised it to 295% for dairy products. And it's very unfair to our farmers, and it's very unfair to the people of our country, the workers, the farmers, the companies. And we are not able to trade. They have tremendous barriers up. They have tremendous tariffs. So when I put in a countervailing tariff just to get us up a little bit so the balance isn't so much, it's like this. They said, oh, that's so terrible. I said, what's terrible? We have to catch you a little bit. We have to have a little balance. Even if it's not complete, we have to have a little balance. I say this with many countries. We finished the meeting, really, everybody was happy. And I agreed to sign something. I asked for changes. I demanded changes, and those changes were made. In fact, the picture with Angela Merkel, who I get along with very well, where I'm sitting there like this, that picture was, we're waiting for the document because I wanted to see the final document as changed by the changes that I requested. That was a very friendly, I know it didn't look friendly, and I know it was reported like sort of nasty both ways. I was angry at her, or she, actually, we were just talking, the whole group, about something unrelated to everything, very friendly, waiting for the document to come back so I could read it before I leave. Anyway, I left and it was very friendly. When I got onto the plane, I think that Justin probably didn't know that Air Force One has about 20 televisions. And I see the television, and he's giving a news conference about how he will not be pushed around by the United States. And I say, push him around. We just shook hands. It was very friendly. Look, countries cannot continue to take advantage of us on trade. The numbers are out. Over the last couple of years, and over the last many years, but over the last couple of years, this country has lost $800 billion on trade with other countries, the biggest one being China. $800 billion. $151 billion with the European Union. They don't take our agricultural products, barely. They don't take a lot of what we have, and yet they send Mercedes into us. They send BMWs into us by the millions. It's very unfair. And it's very unfair to our workers, and I'm going to straighten it out. And it won't even be tough. Okay? Thank you. And no, I have a good relationship with Justin Trudeau. I really did. Other than he had a news conference that he had because he assumed I was in an airplane and I wasn't watching. He learned that's going to cost a lot of money for the people of Canada. He learned. You can't do that. You can't do that. We left. We had a very good relationship. I've had a good relationship with Justin. I have a good relationship with all. I have a very good relationship with Angela Merkel. But on NATO, we're paying 4.2%. She's paying 1% of a much smaller GDP than we have. We're paying 4.2% on a much larger. We're paying for, I mean, anyone can say from 60 to 90% of NATO. And we're protecting countries of Europe. And then on top of it, they kill us on trade. So you just can't have it that way. It's unfair to our taxpayers and to our people. But no, I have a good relationship with Justin, and I have, I think, a very good relationship with Chairman Kim right now. I really do. I hope it's good, because if it is, we're going to solve a very big problem. I think we've gone a long way to solving it today.